I'm going to stop when I want to stop, not when you want to stop.
In the first episode of Bound to Talk, Malicious Melissa interviews Carson, a fetish porn actor. They discuss the connection between a dom and a sub, poly relationships, foot fetishes, smothering, CBT, and chastity, as well as other aspects of the BDSM community.
Hi, I'm Malicious Melissa, and my co-host,
Adam.
and our special guest, Carson.
Hello.
Okay, so Carson, I wanted to ask you, how did you get into the BDSM lifestyle?
That seems like a super intricate.
That's what it's for. Just go ahead and spill it and we'll talk.
Well, I had a brother
Mm-hmm.
that was very involved in putting on the events,
Okay.
and I tagged along until I became interested.
And how old were you?
Not old enough.
Okay.
And then when I became old enough, I started tagging along on paper.
Okay.
But before that, it was I wasn't supposed to be there, but I was there.
Okay.
So
Didn't your dad do something with strip clubs or something like that?
that's the same brother. That's the brother.
Oh, it's the brother. I see.
It's the brother,
I remember that because I
Yeah.
knew that you just grew up around women.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's the brother that he was part of Horns and Halos
Okay.
out in Scottsdale.
Okay.
So they did big, the big events and the fetish ball and the fetish, all the events around the year, like quarterly.
Okay.
And I grew up around it. And then when I was old enough, I started attending.
Was he into it?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
oh yeah, he still
So
is.
he wasn't just a promoter trying to do the events.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. No, he was.
In the lifestyle himself.
He still is in the lifestyle, very much so.
Okay. And why do you think you were drawn to it?
It was different from anything else I was around.
That's exactly why I got into
Right?
it. Yeah,
Right? It was
for
so
sure.
right.
Absolutely.
It was so different. It was I was around raves, I was around clubs, I was around everything else from him and my other brother. And eventually he brought me around this scene, and it was different from anything else. So I started hanging out. And then when I was old enough, I decided I wasn't leaving. I was hooked.
So then what was like your first experience with it? Like where you actually were participating?
Ironically, I was dom for a scene at a house party.
Okay.
And I don't really know how to elaborate on that, but there was a scene at a house. It was over by the Camelback Mountain area, and there was like a mansion that a handful of people lived at.
What about the dog? Is it a problem?
The dog?
Yes.
I'll clip.
We're gonna have to edit that. Okay.
There was a handful of people at this that all rented this house together,
Okay.
and so I stayed the night at their place a lot, and then I came and did events at their place a lot.
Okay.
So one of the times I did my own event, and
You just chose to, or somebody asked you to?
combination of both.
Okay.
They were like, "Hey, you should do something here," because they knew I did events already, and the people that were renting the place told me to come do an event there. So I kind of I kind of went along with it and decided to see what would happen. And it turned out really well.
So were you in love from that point on?
With with the scene? Yeah.
It did it for you?
I couldn't undo it, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it. I couldn't undo it.
I couldn't undo it, yeah.
It's like, all right, it's already put out there. Like,
right.
This is a thing now, and now I'm going to have to pursue it.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's how you felt? Yeah, I got to that point, too.
Yeah.
So, what types of roles do you play, and which are your favorite?
That's a very broad question.
So, however you want to answer. You can specify it. We can get into like different scenes if you would like.
Well, I started off obviously being Dom.
Yes.
Doing shoots and scenes and work as a Dom. And
were you doming men and women or just women?
both.
Okay.
Both. And some of the women were pro Doms. So it was a little bit of an interesting...
So you're having to top the pro Dom?
Yeah.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
That happened for about a year and a half, 2 years.
Okay.
And then more work was popping up as a sub than anything else.
Okay.
So I decided to try that out. Like I already subbed for fun with some of these people, but when all the work is popping up as a sub, I decided to get in on that, and for the work factor at first, and after about a year of getting booked for all sub things, I had a little bit of a soft spot for it, and then started subbing primarily.
So it wasn't love at first taste for the subbing?
No.
You had to just ease into it? Why was that? Was it because you were just so used to being the top?
Yeah, well, I was used to switching, but there was the work and there was the people that both had me plugged into being the Dom factor and the thing. So when it became the other side of it, when I had to start subbing, I had fun with it. But then it became the way to go, because all of a sudden there was that's where all the work was. So I went that way for work at first.
Okay.
And then eventually I don't know, after enough time, I started enjoying it.
So why do you think it took you time to get there, to enjoy it?
Just because I was introduced to the scene, to everything. In one way. As a switch, as a Dom, as a,
Well, yeah, but when you switch, you're playing both roles.
I was, yeah. But it took...
So you've tasted both.
Yeah. So it took being put in a situation where I had to be sub over and over again.
Okay.
For me to finally see, I guess it was the repetition of it happening. Just like if you hear a song on the radio, I guess, maybe, and you hear it over and over and over again, all of a sudden you start to like it.
Well, I think it has to be in you as well, because I could do numerous sub roles. I'm never going to be that sub. Like, I just know,
I know.
I'm never going to be able to be that sub. I can pretend to be a sub, but it's all pretend, because it's just not me. It's not in me.
Yeah. No. Oh, I know that. You've whooped my ass a couple times.
This is
so, right. So, no, I think that while I was getting into it, that's the thing. It wasn't like it was like 10 years into something that I was dead set on that started to change. It was, I was getting into it in any role I could.
Okay.
In any way that it was, any opening that popped up, I would get into it. It didn't matter what it was. And it turned out that there was more sub roles than otherwise. And
so
I started.
Majority of your time was in the sub role.
Yeah. So I started off as a dom and a switch and doing all these things, at first. But as time went on, my time was pretty much as a sub.
Okay.
And over time, that became what I was accustomed to. Mm-hmm. And it became like the way to go.
So did it become your favorite? Is that your favorite role to play?
I can switch all day long.
Mm-hmm.
And not for anybody, but for a handful of people.
It's just whatever the person is bringing out in you.
Yeah. If I feel
submissive under someone, that's your role.
Then that's
your role.
Yeah.
Okay.
If I feel like somebody, it has to do with the personality. Okay. And if I feel a little bit submissive to them when I'm talking to them.
Yeah, you said that you felt that with me at the bar the first time that we met.
Sure did.
I sure did. It was just in the air.
It was. And you saw it.
I did, absolutely. Your demeanor changed, everything, yeah.
Yeah. I can still switch, but I'm very particular about it.
Okay.
But given the right chemistry with somebody, I'm going to be... If I feel I need to sub to them, it's happening. It's all day long. You saw it. I mean...
I did see it.
Yeah.
It was immediate.
It was, yeah. I talked to you for 5 minutes.
Less than 5 minutes.
Less than 5 minutes. And was like, okay, so this is happening. Yeah. That.
So what was your best scene? Can you think of your best scene?
Out of all of them?
Sure.
Oh, shit. I don't even know.
You're one of my favorites.
Well, good.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Uh-huh.
Best scene. You mean like out of all the things?
Everything you've done.
Like work related and everything.
And play related, yeah.
Well, that's scary because the things that sold the best
are
not my favorite.
No, that's not what I'm asking.
I don't know.
Where you were just in cloud 9 the whole time after. Because it puts you in high. It's not even the subspace because, the top feels it too. It's just like endorphins or something. It's just something amazing.
Yep. I don't know. I would have to say maybe... And the funny thing is, I never had a actual fetish up until doing this kind of work. And all of a sudden I acquired the foot fetish and the
foot fetish through work.
Yeah, it wasn't a thing.
Okay.
It wasn't a thing 5 years ago. If you asked me about that,
you'd be like, feet.
So do you think that everyone has a fetish then, and maybe they just haven't discovered it?
Absolutely.
That's really cool.
Absolutely. Everybody has one. They haven't discovered it. If they don't know it, they haven't discovered it yet. That's what it is.
Or they're
absolutely
suppressing it.
They're either hiding it or they haven't discovered it yet. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
110%. My friend, while we're here, I'll even say it. My friend Corey, I brought him out to a house party that was a fetish party. Mm-hmm. I said, "Come on out, have some drinks, hang out with some people. Like just hang out. It'll be fun." By about 11 o'clock, he was so embarrassed he didn't want to say anything to anybody, but he was whispering in my ear, like, "Bro, is this a fetish party?" I'm like, "Yeah, it sure shit is." And he has apparently... I've known this kid since we were 13, right? Mm-hmm. Apparently he's got the biggest foot fetish in the world. So I introduced him to a couple girls.
Did you know he did?
I didn't.
Oh, so
not until this night.
It was a surprise. Okay.
Right. So what I'm saying is people suppress it, like you were saying. Yeah. But
did he know he had it?
Oh, he did, but he never thought he would admit it to anybody in his life.
Secret.
In his life, he never thought he would. So, I know this kid since we were 13 years old. We're fucking 22 at this point when he tells me, and he had it. So I introduced him to some people, So yeah, I think everybody has one.
Mm-hmm.
Whether they recognize it or acknowledge it or not, that's a different story. But I think that everybody has something that's a fetish of theirs, and either they know it now and they're embarrassed to admit it, or they don't know it yet. Yeah, that's true, right?
That's
pretty
totally
true.
Would agree with that.
Yeah.
And so where do you think that comes from? Or do you think it's just different? I mean, obviously there's different fetishes, but I mean, just like the general concept of it, maybe.
I can't speak for everybody.
Sure.
But I had a babysitter when I was 10 that, I mean, like, she kicked off her shoes and she did things, and she was trying to, be a little bit risque, and as an adult.
Towards you?
Yeah.
Okay.
And as an adult, I started to have that. I started to be attracted to it, and
mm-hmm.
Things. It wasn't anything that happened immediately or anything like that, but when I was I was 10 years old.
Just something sparks.
Yeah, she kicked off her shoes and rubbed her feet together and started to, make jokes about people
that are into foot worship.
On TV shows.
Oh.
She would start making jokes about people and about putting her feet on people or whatnot.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden, I grew up, and that was instilled in my brain from somewhere from the past.
Sure.
Yeah, so, I never thought I had a fetish in the world. I just thought that it was interesting, the scene. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, I got this foot fetish. And I want to know where it came from. And I had a babysitter when I was 10.
Mm-hmm. So you figured it
Sparked
out.
it, yeah. Mm. So I think everybody has one, or they will have one.
Right.
If they don't know it yet.
Just based on like life experience.
Yeah. Not anything that they're gonna be. The people that don't know it, it's not because it doesn't exist. It's because they just haven't figured it out yet.
It's true. There's always something.
Yeah, there's something planted in their brain, and they're gonna figure it out eventually. They will.
So mine is like the really white skin. And, from my mother, and my father's Puerto Rican and my mother's Irish, and they are two totally different skin colors. And then animosity between the parents. And then the mother saying, you're not brown, you're white. So then what do you grow up loving? White skin.
There you go.
Because the monster was the father who had the brown skin.
And you have no idea what the fetish is or how it or how it will appeal to you.
No, it's just one
but
day you see it.
In time,
yeah,
you will eventually have some kind of attraction to it, and then you have to figure it out later. But like she's saying.
Yeah, and I figured it out later. It was just seeing that milky white vampire skin, and I was like, that's it.
That's the one.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And then figuring out, why do I feel this way? Why am I opposed to dark brown skin?
My friend Corey I was talking about, his parents worked for Honeywell. They had like super corporate jobs. He had no clue about anything. And we graduated high school, and he had no clue about any interest at all. It took till we were 21, 22. I took him out to one of the parties I was helping put on in Phoenix. Mm-hmm. It was a fetish party at a house, and he started asking questions. And then and that's when we found out that he's like, bro, it took 20, 30 minutes of being there for him to finally open up. And then he asked me about girl next to me. I'm like, I don't know, go talk to her. And it was, all of a sudden he has a foot fetish. I'm like, wait, we're 22 years old. Like, what are you talking about? How did I not know this?
Mm-hmm. Also, he was in an environment where he could feel comfortable.
There it is.
And it was
accepted.
Accepted.
That's exactly what it was.
Because the community is very accepting.
Right. The community is. People aren't.
Right.
So for him to go out to any club or nightclub or bar or any event, he's not going to open up and talk about that. When he's at an event,
it's like a
specified.
Safety.
It really is. It really is.
Zone.
It's a safety net right there.
Mm-hmm.
It's exactly what it is. So he goes. So he started asking me, like, what about this girl? I got He even said to me, he goes, don't judge me a little bit, but I got a little bit of a foot fetish. Like, I was like, bro, you are in the right spot.
Yeah.
Right? Like, go talk to her and tell her that. Like, you're good. He had no idea. He was so scared to even tell me. And he was, we're at that kind of event. So, there's a really long answer, I guess. But
No.
I feel like the answer to your question is everybody has one.
Right.
Half of them don't know what it is yet, but they will. And everybody has some sort of fetish locked in that they don't know about yet.
Yeah.
But when they find out, hopefully they find out soon. Because otherwise they're going to...
That's true. They're missing out.
Yeah. They're going to just hold it. They're going to hold on to it and be scared to admit it to anybody. And while they're doing that...
Or not be true to themselves.
There you go. There it is. Yeah. So in the meantime, they won't get to explore it. They won't get to educate. They won't get to do anything. They'll just be hiding themselves from everybody else. But I feel like everybody does have one. Everybody has something.
Yeah.
It's inevitable, really.
So what other fetishes would you say you have? Can you think of any that stick out? You came up with the foot one very quickly.
You already know. There's a foot fetish
Well,
and
the audience doesn't know.
All right, well, this smothering stuff.
Yeah, queening.
Yeah.
That's a huge one for people. Even the people who think they're vanilla and not
Right,
kinky.
right.
They're like, sit on my face.
Yeah, but to a point where I'm not able to fend it off, fight it off. I can't fend for myself. Yeah.
You want to be completely smothered.
I want, yeah.
Yes.
I need to
That
be.
is fun. That's
Oh, for
definitely
you.
fun. It's, well, of course. It's definitely fun for me.
I need to not be able to fight it off. And just be smothered.
Yeah, gasping, but you're not getting any air and...
The breath control kind of thing. If you haven't tried it, you should. Just so you know.
So what kinds of breath control do you practice? Are you practicing tying off air supplies? Are you getting in like the mummification with the tube and the rubber?
All of the above.
All of it. Okay.
Yeah.
But you don't have a preference.
No. Just as long as it's happening.
Is it the physical feeling of the loss of air, or is there something
A little
deeper than that?
Part of it,
Yeah.
and the other part of it,
right?
yeah,
A little bit of fear.
yeah. The other part is, I'm not in control of this.
Right.
Somebody else is,
Yeah.
and
There's excitement in that
they're going to determine
when you get to...
what the hell happens for me.
Yeah.
So it becomes part of what you're saying, but part of, like, I have no control over it.
So I want to be the one in control of that. But if I was on the other side, extreme anxiety, it's not the place for me.
Right.
He wants that like loss of control.
I
can't have that.
I'm in control of 90% of the shit I do in my life. I have to be running concerts, events, clubs, everything. I need to not be in control for a little bit. And not just be out of control a little bit, but I need somebody to take it all the way to that line. Like, hey, you're not in control right now, and you might not wake up. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
and take away breath for the point where I'm passing out. That's what I need.
Right.
Because everything else in my life, I have to be in control of, and I have to be.
Have you ever signed a waiver?
For shoots? Yeah.
Just for shoots, but not for private play.
Well, you tell me to do it, I'll do it.
I know you will.
You know I will.
I know you will. I was just curious if you had. Yeah, I don't know. I never thought about that. I would just take things to the extreme. And then, all the like regular people are saying, Melissa, you can kill them. Like, you need to have them sign something.
Well, the thing is, if somebody's about to pass out, their body will go into like a...
Yeah,
it
it's
goes,
a shudder,
yeah.
and then it's limp, and that's when you need to give them oxygen. I
Yeah.
know that.
But if you do that,
Yeah.
there's no problem. If they pass out and then you get up and you give them...
Oh, I know.
Yeah, okay.
I know. I'm experienced in that.
All right.
I do like the
I'm not saying it. I'm not saying. I'm just saying. Right?
I do like the shudder. It is quite enjoyable. And there's much power in that feeling.
I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying.
I know what you're saying. Yes.
Yeah.
So then, which of these fetishes would be included in your best scene?
I only listed 2. The ball busting and the smothering, right?
You didn't do the ball busting. We didn't cover that yet.
I said the feet, yeah.
Yeah, feet, foot worship, queening, and now CBT, and that's your big one.
Well, yeah.
It's your
Yeah. So
CBT is cock and ball torture.
I've managed strip clubs for 13 years. I can't stand it. It's a fucking nightmare every day. So to get to a point where things are happening like that I don't have to be responsible for. I see guys come in and do things in the VIP with their fetishes and all their shit that I have to be managing and regulating for. All right. All of a sudden, I don't have to anymore. I think it goes back to the power exchange thing, where it's well, yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's the power exchange. So to be putting myself out there for whatever you feel like doing, it's terrible on my end, but at the end of the scene or the end of the day, I feel like it's a win.
Terrible in what way? That you're enjoying the pain?
The pain is terrible.
Or just that you're relinquishing the control? Or both?
I don't get off on the pain.
Okay.
But I need for somebody to take it. I need for somebody to take control, because I don't get off on the pain, but I need that control switch. I need to take it all anyway. For
what reason?
I don't know. I don't know. For myself.
Okay.
But
so there's an inner masochist?
Apparently.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't.
So you don't like the pain, but you need the pain.
There it is. I don't enjoy the pain while it's happening.
Yeah.
As you even know, because I've bitched about it. I bitch all the time. So
He's great.
I bitch a lot, but
you take
I'll
it.
take anything.
You take it.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
I bitch like a fucking child, man. Like it's.
And then that just makes it worse. You know that.
I-
It got way worse.
It did. Yeah. So I don't enjoy the pain itself, but I need it for the end result, right? Like I need it. I need to get
to
that.
fulfill. Yeah, absolutely.
So.
And so what is that fulfillment then?
That's the thing. I don't know. That's the thing I don't know.
I do know. So
She does.
I do know.
She's
It's
smarter
about,
than me.
It's about pushing limits. So
Right.
you're able to achieve something. And then you can be. And if you know that somebody's played with so many different people and how brutal someone can be, like me, who's a sadist, and then she tells you, like, you were the best. That's an accomplishment. That's something that he takes pride in.
I do shoots
Yeah.
with a dozen different websites and companies that you may or may not be familiar with, like all over the place. If I can play with her and it's not for a shoot. It's not for any kind of reason where we have to have a standard, right? Mm-hmm. And I can withstand whatever she puts me through. Mm-hmm. That's a different kind of achievement. It really is. So I hate all the pain aspects. Mm-hmm. But my fulfillment is getting through it to make her smile at the end of it. And getting approval, I guess. Getting approval at the end of it.
Yeah, that's why I have my grading system. It works.
Me getting approval at the end from her. Because, I mean, I do shoots with, all kinds of people, all kinds of things. But if I can get through whatever she wants to do and I can get approval at the end, fucking high five. Like.
You mean a piss reward?
Yes. Yes, please.
It's not a high five.
No, I was just making an example, an analogy.
Okay.
It's worth it. I made it through it, and I got the approval. Mm-hmm. That's what it is. That's where my affliction comes from, right? Like on the thing. So.
Because just wanting to do something that is going to please your mistress, like that's what it's about.
Yes.
Is my pleasure, you pleasing me.
And that's my gratification is pleasing.
Her.
That's what I'm saying. Is getting the approval at the end of it.
So, and once you go through, sessions that are extreme, push your limits, and make you feel that achievement, then is it harder, like when you maybe do a session with someone who doesn't push you as far? Like, do you not get the enjoyment out of that as much, or is it just any?
I don't.
Right.
Yes, I don't. But
because
also,
you're looking for more. Correct.
Right.
It's like a drug. You're looking for a higher high.
She's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
In that.
Because I feel the same way.
When you have a sub that can't go as far.
I feel the same way.
Yeah.
But also, a lot of what I do, I'm getting paid to do. Like it's work.
Right.
So if somebody books me for a shoot and they don't fulfill A, B, and C, I don't give a shit because I'm still getting paid.
Yeah. But
I go through the motions. I'm not working when it comes to certain people, and I just at that end, my fulfillment comes from pleasing that person. Mm-hmm. Half the time, though, I'm doing it for work or whatever else. So if they don't quite fulfill their end of things, or if they, if they're slacking on any kind of part of it, mm-hmm. I go through the motions, like autopilot.
Because it becomes a job.
Yeah, it's all it is. I go through the motions. I get paid. I go about my business. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So sometimes that's all it is.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's interesting because it seems like there's two different aspects where one is like either relinquishing control or having the accomplishment that you've endured something very painful, mm-hmm. and then the other one is about another person. It's about pleasing someone else.
So there's about a handful of people mm-hmm. that I give a shit about pleasing, and everybody else's work. She happens to be one of them.
Right.
So everything else is work usually, but there's a handful of people that I have this urge, this I don't know what to call it, like this push inside of me to like meet up with them and fulfill whatever I need to, or please them, whatever, you know what I mean?
Right.
The thing you were talking about first,
mm-hmm.
you're saying that there's the two. There's a handful of them, and the rest is all just work. But the handful of them, she's one.
Yes.
So is the pleasing of the other person rank higher than the just
than work?
well, not the work, but the what it does for you. Whereas like I feel accomplished because I endured something.
So
that's more about you and your achievements.
So what is there? There's three things. There's self-fulfillment.
Right.
There's pleasing someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And then what? Was that it? Were those like the two major things?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so which one is more important? Pleasing the other person or a sense of accomplishment?
With you?
Sure, with me.
No. That's
what it.
That's what it is.
Yeah, right.
With
it
her,
depends on the person.
it's exactly. With her, it's trying to please and fulfill whatever I need to do. But that's a handful of people out of a couple dozen I shoot with.
Right.
So a couple dozen people that I shoot with, it's whatever we needed to shoot today.
Right.
Knocked it out. It was good, and I'm done.
Right.
There's a handful of people that I still feel like I need to like step out from camera side, like step out from and please them, fulfill whatever I need. You know what I mean? Like whatever I need to go through for those. That's still a thing, but it's for only like a handful of people. Mm-hmm. The rest of the people, it's just work. Clock in, clock out, go.
Right.
And it's more fun when you're trying to please your mistress than when you're going in for a particular...
Just work, yeah.
Yeah, well, not even just work, but a particular fetish that you're really into.
Right.
If she's not really that into it, the session is not going to be great. That's why, like, paid sessions aren't as good as, like, just playing because you love it.
Mm-hmm.
Because then they just go through the motions. You know, it's not...
And you can feel it. You can feel it in the air, the energy.
Yeah.
Our first session, I completely did whatever I wanted to do. We broke limits, rules, and everything, and it was spectacular.
We went out for drinks. I said, here's my limits. She said, that's cute. You don't have limits. We came back here, and everything got just...
destroyed.
I got destroyed.
He had a fight coming up. He said he didn't want his skin broken.
I was bleeding out of everywhere. Everywhere. Right? Like it was...
Because it's up to me.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
But that's what it was about that time. It was about whatever the hell... I found some... So it's about whoever... It's about the person, not about what I wanted to do. It wasn't about...
But you have your likes.
Oh, right.
You know.
But it wasn't about like, I'm doing a session with this and, you know, that's all it's about. I found somebody that has a lot of similar interests. But also, I feel like I need to just let go. And she did whatever the hell she wanted to do. Mm-hmm. For like 2 hours. I was just kidding.
It was at least an hour and a half. Yeah.
I got fucked up. It was bad.
Full force.
Like I wasn't...
Brutal.
Yeah.
No mercy.
So it was things... Right?
No mercy.
So it was things that maybe I wasn't necessarily accustomed to or fetish-wise. But it was the fact of... I found somebody I wanted to relinquish control.
And please.
And I wanted to please. Mm-hmm. And they did whatever they wanted. Mm-hmm. I feel like it was a really long answer, but I feel like that was kind of what your question was about.
Yeah.
Your question was asking about like, yeah.
So let's get into the CBT.
Uh-oh.
Do tell.
I don't know what you're talking about.
What's the appeal?
No idea. Relinquishing control to the most vulnerable spot.
Area?
Yeah. The most vulnerable spot I have on my body.
But it's more
it's
than
vulnerable.
Just relinquishing control.
It's not. I would rather not go through that, but the fact that somebody takes advantage of the most...
What about saying, I want it so black and blue that it can't even be touched to pee? Where does it come from? There's
relinquishing control. That's what it is. That's what it is.
Like self-hatred of that nether region.
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. There is...
It's you're giving over the most treasured part of your body.
For whatever the hell happens.
Okay.
And the worse it gets, the better it is, because I've handed over control of that.
Your most precious area.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let's get back to the best scene. Now that we've gone through your fetishes, I don't know if there's any more. We got through all of those. So can you think of one particular scene and what did it encompass?
Sounding?
Yeah.
Instead of lube, it was icy hot.
That's my favorite story of yours. I love it.
I've told you that story already.
It's a great story.
Yeah, great. For everybody else.
It's great.
It was awful.
Oh, it's great.
Sounds? You know, like a medical.
Sounds.
You know. Okay, you know.
He knows.
The audience might not know.
So instead of lube, it was icy hot. Lubed up it instead.
It's a metal tool that dilates the urethra of a male. Sure, go ahead. Of a male, and there's different sizes. And you're supposed to lubricate it before you insert it in, to a hard cock. And instead of lube, his dominatrix ended up using icy hot. And he was in so much pain that he was keeled over, and he was at a photo shoot, and they wanted to call an ambulance, and he wouldn't let them, and just handled his business, and maybe a half hour, 45 minutes later, he was back on track to finish up his shoot.
Wow. Do you know anything about the dominatrix or...
That did this?
Yeah.
You'd have to ask him, because he told me the story, but he told me it a couple years ago, so I don't remember about the dominatrix. What was the deal with the dominatrix who did that to you? He wanted to know more about that.
She was brand new to working as a pro, but was not new to doing like shoots and videos and everything. She had done that for a couple of years with us, and then she became pro, and then she did that because she wanted to try it out. And apparently by try it out, she wanted to just fucking do it live with me. She didn't tell me she was going to do it. She's like, I got a couple things I want to try since I'm new to this. I was like, all right, let's do it.
Thinking it's like going to be a newbie play.
Right.
Right.
So you
Like,
thought this would be
it's somebody I did shoots with already. Right.
Oh, okay.
So then all of a sudden she goes, I want to try a couple new things. I said, well, I'm up for whatever. It doesn't matter to me. Then she shot my ass down. I'm like, all right, this is cool. I'm like, whatever. It's not unlike half the things we shoot, right? And then all of a sudden, she busts out a sound. I'm like, ooh, I know what that is. That's gonna get lubed up. But she didn't tell me. She didn't tell me she was lubing up with icy hot. She just showed it to me and said she was lubing it up. And then when it went down, I was like, what the hell's happening?
The fire set in.
Oh my God. And she goes, oh, by the way. And she's like laughing while she's telling me. I'm like, oh my Lord. It was terrible. Terrible. I thought I was peeing fire. It was, my God. And it didn't go away when she was done. That shit stayed for like 2 hours. It was not the business. No. It was terrible.
But you didn't allow them to call an ambulance. You handled your business.
I did. I handled my shit.
So would you say that was a bad situation that you were put in? Because you've labeled it now as your best scene. But is it a bad situation, or have you been in a bad situation?
I wouldn't call it a bad situation.
No.
Because it was somebody I knew, I shot with, I trusted. She escalated it a bit more than I thought.
Yeah.
But
it was still doable.
Yeah, like at the end of the day, everybody was safe. Everybody went home happy. You know, it was fine.
So has there been any bad situations?
Like dangerous bad?
Yeah. Well, whatever you consider bad. For me, dangerous, yes, would be bad. I've done shibari work, and I've had, knots slip when being suspended on my throat and it's cutting off and I'm ready to pass out. And it's like people aren't really seeing what's going on and you're calling someone over to cut you down. Those are scary situations.
Yeah, that hasn't happened.
No, I didn't think you did rope work, but nothing that you can think of that was just like a bad, dangerous, scary situation, or a person that ended up just being a complete lunatic. Or
there's people all the time that show up that when I'm trying to do stuff with other people that pop up, but we just boot them. It's not like there hasn't been a dangerous situation.
What about like a disturbing scene besides the one that you just talked about? Or something that you saw that was disturbing, just being in the lifestyle. I've come across a few things that I found disturbing. One was a guy whose fetish was to completely destroy a woman's breasts. And he would just put really thick gauge needles in them and just beat them, and they were just so bruised, and it was just so terrible. And then he would photograph them. And just these women, I don't know, like I talked to him, and the thing is, he looks like Boy Next Door. He was a really handsome young guy that like you would not think is doing that. And then it was just shocking the way that those women's breasts looked afterwards. But he told me that they want that, and that actually some of the women orgasm when he's doing that. And I told him, I said, like, we can't be friends. I can't respect what you do. And I'm very open and very accepting, but that's a no. And he, like, wanted to do stuff with me and my breasts. And I was like, not happening. You're out of your mind. No, let's do that to your balls. How about that? Like, that's where it's at. So that definitely was... the other thing is the impregnation fetish.
That's weird to me.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't really understand it. It's a real thing, and it's kind of crazy because most of the men that I've met that are into this are probably middle-aged African American males. And then all of the women, there could be 20 women, lots of babies. They're all white women. Mm-hmm. So,
and they're all husky white women, right?
They are fuller-figured white women.
There you go.
Yes.
I know the drill. I've seen it 100 times.
Yes,
Yeah.
We've seen it.
Because those girls have good credit.
I thought it was.
I'm just saying.
Well, I don't know why.
I've asked them before. I've asked the guys, and.
Yeah, but why the fuller figure? It's not a thin white woman's gonna have good credit too.
Oh no. Yeah, no. Those guys like the thick.
The thick, so they'll take thick with white and thick with whatever.
Yep.
So I don't know. I don't know where that stems from. I thought maybe the whole like slavery thing, how the white man was impregnating these black women, and now the black guys are turning it around, and I have no idea. Who knows? But it was just something I've noticed, just being in the lifestyle, and I found that kind of strange. I think those are the only two really strange things that I've come across in however many years. So, I don't know. Can you think of anything that like was any of those disturbing or strange, or not really? No. Yeah. So, is there anything that you wouldn't do again? Something you've tried?
No.
Really? You'll just do it again? See, for me, it's not like that, because I want to try everything once or a few times, and then it loses its, the shiny toy feel.
I agree.
Yeah.
That's happened to me with several things. But if somebody were to suggest it and book me for something.
But not in money. Not for money.
Okay.
Just for fun, for play.
Oh, then
Does it get old if it's the same thing? Don't you crave something new?
Then yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And you've done it all almost, or maybe you have.
Just
I have
about,
no idea.
yeah.
Yeah. So then how do you still have fun with the same things? Is it just the chemistry of the different
It's the
partners?
person. Yep, it's the person.
So it's the chemistry of the different partners.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
It's the person that's doing it. Because I could have zero interest, and it would
in a particular element of it.
10 people, and then it's that right person. All of a sudden, I'm interested again. I'm not interested. Like, even if I might be hating it, there's a part of me that's like going to appreciate it at the end. I can hate what's happening all the way through, and at the end, I'm gonna be like, but it was her.
It hurts. Not hate it because it's been there, done that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So for me, it's the been there, done that. I always want something new, and you don't get the same high as the first time you've done something.
That's true.
So then you're completely dependent on chemistry with partners.
Yeah.
And that's a lot. It's a lot harder to find than, back in the beginning when it was just doing something new. You didn't necessarily, the chemistry was a bonus, but you didn't necessarily need that as long as you were doing something new.
Right.
So then, you kind of run out of things. So what's left for you to explore?
That I haven't done?
Yeah, that you haven't done that you'd like to try. Or something that maybe you've done but you'd like to explore further.
There it is.
So you've done everything.
Yeah, I really have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, I think you have.
Yeah. And there's a handful of things that even I don't necessarily enjoy, but with the right person in a setting.
You just find yourself wanting that?
Yep.
And you don't even know it's going to be like that when you walk in?
You filled my glass. Right?
Yeah, but I know that's your thing. You came for it.
Well, no, the thing is, that's not even a thing that
it was a thing last time.
Yeah.
Our first session.
What I'm saying is, it's not a thing.
Yes.
That I would ever mention to anybody ever in meeting up with them in a session.
What do you mean?
I mean, like, if I was going to session with somebody tomorrow.
Yes.
Would never come up.
You would never ask?
No. If that person said anything on your mind, what do you want to do? I would list a handful of things. That wouldn't be one of them.
Okay.
It's
spur of the moment.
It's person, I think.
It's the person.
I really think it is. I think it's the person. You can have even people that know their fetishes, like, it's still particular to the person. And I'm shooting tomorrow in Chicago.
Yeah, you told me.
I told you that, yeah. That won't come up. Because we're doing other things, and I have no interest in bringing that up.
Sure.
But I'm here with you, and if it happens, then you know what I mean. Like, it's the person, is what it is. Is I think.
That is very, very true, and that's why you'd be more willing to do something that you haven't done before if it's that right person.
Yep.
Okay. I didn't know where you stood with, like, the scat play, because we discussed that a couple of years ago. And where we stood with that.
A couple of years. That's true. That's right.
It has been 2 years since our first session.
That's
Absolutely.
True. Yeah.
I actually looked it up. It was July 9th, 2015.
There you go.
So, so that again would just be certain people.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not.
Is it a surprise to you when you're like, I need to do that?
Yeah, I mean, it's not. It's not something that dwells within me.
Yeah, it's just in the moment, and you're like,
it doesn't dwell.
That has to happen.
Yep, it doesn't dwell within me to be like, oh, I got to try to figure out somebody I can do this with. No.
Oh, well, some people who are
they're just trying to find somebody
taken over by their fetishes where it's just completely impacting their life.
Right.
It doesn't matter who's doing it. it's a bonus if she's a hot chick, for sure.
Right.
But whoever's willing, they're going to take it.
Right. And on my end, it's going to be next to nobody, except there's a couple of people.
Yeah.
Based on the person. That.
So then it's about the chemistry. That's like one
and
of
me
your
wanting,
major fetishes is that finding that chemistry.
Yeah, well, yeah. One of my fetishes is finding the chemistry, not about the particular play that we're doing, but about what, but about who they are, and then me being absolutely 100% submissive to them.
So what about when you feel the intense chemistry, maybe with the first session with someone, and then any subsequent sessions, it's not there? What do? Do you try again and like look for more, or
I try again a second time, and then I'm done.
So,
that's it.
So if you have,
well, here's the thing though too.
Okay.
I don't session with people for fun.
Yes, that's a rare few.
I reached out to you, if you remember,
sure,
because I was out here,
absolutely.
because I was out here already,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, this, we had a lot in common.
Yeah.
Most of the time,
it's film.
I don't reach out for people. I don't reach out to people to like fulfill things. Like I either play with people that I shoot with when we're done shooting, we play a little bit, or beforehand, and that's it. And I told you that the first time we met. And you are a little different.
Yes.
Yeah. So to your question, I don't like really engage in a lot of those things to anybody else.
So would you say that it's hard to find new partners?
Yeah. Because I'm picky, though.
Okay, they're out there.
They
it's
are.
just you're looking for something special.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, they're everywhere. But I'm picky.
So for somebody who, let's say, is just getting in the lifestyle, would you say it's going to be easy for them to find new partners?
No. Not at all.
Not at all.
Not at all.
A woman, for sure. I can find partners. It's just like, I could just be new to this and be like, all right, there's 20 guys lined up.
There you go. And and also 20 girls lined up ready to teach you.
That's true too.
Because they want to, even if they're newbies, even if they're a year in, they're 6 months in, they're a year in, they want to pass whatever they know along. But for guys, no. Like, you're brand new, it's not going anywhere. Like,
so how would you say they should, like, how would they find partners? What do you think's the best way? I mean, for you finding me, it was literally you just coming across me and messaging me.
I looked up where I was traveling to.
I know you did.
And looked through fucking 50 people.
You did.
And was like,
okay.
On FetLife, yeah.
Yeah.
And was like, this person seems like somebody I would have good chemistry with.
Okay.
I picked through fucking 50 people.
Well, yeah, but you can just tell that from, like...
I read through everything.
Yeah.
You didn't just have like a...
No, it's
yo,
my
hit me up
pictures,
kind of thing.
It's
like
my
it was.
blog.
You had typed out a full description.
Yeah.
Everything. I read through it. I read through your writings.
Yep.
That were on the side.
Yeah, my blogs.
Yeah. I read through everything, and I decided, based on I read for a fucking hour.
I have a
through
lot
what
of
you
stuff
got
on
and
there.
the side and everything else. Huh?
I have a lot of stuff on
Yeah.
there.
I read for an hour, and I finally was like, I feel like this person and me might have some chemistry. So then that's when I reached out.
Yeah.
It's not like guys can't just look for a fucking city and find everybody in their area. They're gonna, it doesn't work. You gotta make a connection with people.
I agree, and you also have to have something they want.
Yeah.
So the appeal for you is that you're a fetish porn actor. That's amazing.
That too.
Like, when do you come across that potential play partner who's like experienced,
right?
and
She
who's
was
gonna be able to
She was
take
like,
it?
she was like, wait, have you ever done this before? Or are you just fucking fantasizing? I'm like, 10 years. She's like, let me try you on for size, basically. Like, whoop my ass.
Yes.
And but yeah. So like but I wouldn't have made so somebody trying to get into it new, like you were asking, you can't go about it from fucking Plenty of Fish or Tinder or some bullshit.
Yeah. I don't even think you can do it on FetLife. It's going to be hard to do it on FetLife.
It is hard.
BDSM.com.
I looked through fucking 50 people and found you. So yeah, you have to.
That's true.
You have to have a good head on your shoulders.
Yeah.
Narrow in on the city. Find some people. There's, other than going to people's profiles, there's
Events.
the city you pick. Well, events too, but there's the city you pick. Classifieds. You can go through and find people, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Because I've seen classifieds pop up. Okay. I haven't gone through them, but I'm sure you could. And
classifieds on what?
On FetLife.
Okay.
There is.
Yeah,
there
I've
is.
seen
You pick a city.
Are you talking about posting in the groups?
There's like classified group.
Okay.
So you find
yeah.
So you find a city that you're in, and you find that city's classifieds or personals or whatever the hell what the hell ever else.
Yeah.
And you go through it and you find people. I'm sure you could. I didn't do it. I found you.
So you didn't need to.
Nope.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that would, you find that city you're in, you find the classifieds, you look through people, you look through their profiles, you look through what they're interested in, and if you find somebody with common interests, you reach out to them. I'm sure that would be.
The biggest thing I see people posting about is looking for like a three-way, looking for another person. That's
I see that
like
all the time.
Most common thing that I see. And a lot of the times they're looking for another girl. So, to bring into like an existing couple or, whatever the case is. So what would you say your favorite part of being in the BDSM lifestyle is?
I don't know.
Exploring new things, meeting different people, finding the chemistry, pushing your limits.
All four of the things you just said. Truly.
Everything?
Yeah. Actually, yeah.
Those are my favorite. And also like the sense of community.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, what is it like where you live? Is there a sense of community?
Yeah, but it's very densely populated. It's crazy out in Phoenix. So
it's a big scene there?
It's a very small scene, but everybody knows everybody.
Scene. Okay.
There's a couple.
So there's not a lot of people in it.
There's a couple thousand.
There is.
But everybody knows everybody.
Here.
Yeah. Everybody knows everybody.
And a lot of people know each other, but not everyone knows everyone. Because Chicago's so big.
True. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The person I'm shooting with tomorrow, I have to take a train for an hour to fucking Chicago and then take a Uber 10 minutes from that. Like and she.
But she's paying you, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
And she works out of a dungeon that I'm absolutely sure books a dozen people a day for sessions and stuff. Like it's pretty. So in Chicago, it's pretty well popping and connected. But out here, it's.
Do you know anything about the pro doms at the dungeons?
Yeah.
Because I've been hearing about.
Of course.
Well, I've been hearing about that they're trying to recruit girls off of like, let's say Craigslist, not even back pages.
Yeah.
And they're telling them like, yeah, look, like it's just going to be straightforward. You're just going to be topping whatever. And then they hire them and then they start training them. And then it turned into sex work. So that's actually going on right now. I don't know if it's always been an issue or is it just, I don't want to say the name of this particular dungeon.
It wasn't DOI? Was it DOI?
It is not.
Okay.
No.
See, DOI, only one that's legitimate out here. And then there's what is it called? There's
the Studio, there's Continuum, there's Sins, there's GD2. Those are all kosher. There's Chicago Dungeon Rentals, which is, just people paying to rent spaces.
There's another one. What is it? It's
LRA. name of the one and that's probably the one that you're looking for.
I mean, you can say it.
No.
No, I'm not
going to say it. No.
It might be the one I'm thinking of.
I think it is. I think it is.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, the rest of them are pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything bad about any of those.
The one you're thinking of is probably the one because it's the one I'm thinking of too.
And it's one where you know it.
I know people there that have recently traveled out of town instead of staying there because they don't want to be around. They don't want to be a part of it. They don't want to be. They don't want to be in town and involved.
Because it turned into sex work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Things are happening there with one person, and that one person can create a big problem for you if you are working there for weeks.
For sure.
Absolutely, yeah. So they're out of town. A couple of them are working in Vegas right now.
They're training the girls now.
Yeah.
To like perform those things.
Yeah. Is the couple of girls that I know that are there have been there for a long time. They're old school. Like they know how to do sessions and not do anything else. And they are now being booked in New York, Las Vegas, Seattle, Portland. That's where those 4 girls are at right now, like this week. So I feel like they won't be there very, very much longer in Chicago. Yeah.
Well, it was appealing to a lot of newbies because of course, the cash they can make. And the fact that they weren't able to apprentice under any of the local Chicago dominatrixes.
Yep.
A lot of the dominatrixes have gotten to the point out here where they're not willing to take on any fledglings.
Nope. Unless you're paying them, unless you're paying, you're not learning. Exactly. You have to pay them
to teach you. Absolutely.
And if you are genuinely trying to learn, that's not the way to go about it.
And I totally agree with that too. Or it had to be a trade, like being willing to be in the videos. And then, okay, well, what are you willing to do in the videos? Because you're not technically the dominatrix. So are you going to do that blowjob? And so you're still selling yourself.
Yep.
You're either selling for cash or you're selling your mouth or whatever else is there.
Yep.
So that's why I think, a lot of the girls were getting into it. And then it was almost like a bait and switch. And they were tricked.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So how open are you about your lifestyle? Family, friends, coworkers outside of the industry?
I think because I've managed strip clubs for a decade and a half. Everybody's pretty aware of like what I do, but nobody asks too many questions, and I don't really advertise to them.
Okay.
So
why do you think it's so private?
Because I do both ends of the spectrum. This adult work is half of everything, but the other half, I do the MMA. I do the coaching and the fighting and the training and things. I don't want somebody.
So
I don't want some.
Cross.
Yeah, I don't want some 19-year-old kid to be like, I graduated high school. Here's my coach, and his parents are like, "Yo, this guy does porn. Why is he coaching you?" You know what I mean? Like. I have to try to keep it.
And it's fetish porn on top of it.
Right.
Which isn't as accepted.
Right. It's even worse.
Yeah, absolutely.
The dad would find it because he's the one looking it up.
Yeah.
And then it'd be like, oh, by the way, your coach, I stumbled upon your coach. You know what I mean? Like I gotta play that line a little bit. But.
So it's strictly to protect the career than really caring.
Yeah, otherwise I don't give a shit.
Right.
Really.
Yeah, you didn't seem like you would.
No, I don't.
Open.
Yeah, I'm pretty open about it.
Do you think
everybody that knows me like well, the friend I'm visiting right now lives in Wheeling, right the fuck here. He moved out here a year ago.
Buffalo Grove.
Yeah.
It's Buffalo Grove.
There you go. And oh my god, yeah. I'm so proud of you.
I know your friends.
So, that's true. That's how I met her. I came out here with him when he got his internship, and now he lives out here. But the thing is, everybody knows. He knows he knows I was coming here to do a podcast. About what it is.
Yeah.
You know?
And he's not in the lifestyle.
No, not at all. But he's known every time I've come to see her, every single time.
It has to do with things.
Yeah. And this is like a high five, and I'll see you when you get back.
Right.
You know, it's not. There's no embarrassment of the scene.
Sure.
It's trying to separate things professionally. That's what it is.
Do you think that's the case with most people in the community or lifestyle? It's more about protecting the career than, or do you think that there are, maybe it's 50-50, some people also just don't want
A lot of
people to
them,
know?
their career is that, so they'll blast it.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, like a lot of them, they use FetLife, for example.
Are you talking about the women?
Yeah, I'm talking like tangent.
Okay.
Okay, so I have friends that own their own clips stores on online and everything. Mm-hmm. They blow it up. That's what they do. So that's all they ever post about, and it's public. Then you got other people like me. We do two things, and you can blow it up in the fetish community, but you can't repeat it on this end of things because I have to protect both.
Sure.
Not like an image, like I gotta look like I'm somebody I'm not, but like you know what I mean? Like I don't mean like I'm embarrassed of it, but like
right.
Professionally, I cannot coach kids or students or teens while I'm doing this.
Right.
I have to, professionally I have to separate it.
Right.
So
do you think that's the case with the majority of people who do choose, like you said, there are people who don't care, it doesn't matter, that is their career.
Yeah.
But for the majority of the people who do choose to be secretive, do you think it is only to protect careers, or do you think
it's not marriages? I swear.
Or
no. There's
or public opinion.
I was gonna say there's a small piece that are trying to hide from their marriage or their relationship or whatever else.
I've run into quite a few.
Right.
Well, of course you would.
Yeah, I have.
I'm saying the majority of the people that do it. Well, and I don't mean the majority of people on FetLife.
Oh, just for the industry.
His question is more of the people doing it professionally and getting, for paid shoots. Mm-hmm. And I think...
Is that what you meant?
Or both, actually, I'm curious.
Okay.
Or just lifestyle,
too. Yeah, because it's different if it's paid.
It really is, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think yes, the majority of the people doing it for paid shoots,
right,
are hiding it because they have another professional image to uphold.
Right.
Not that they're embarrassed, but they have another thing that they need to, that's very opposite, like I do with the coaching. And it needs to be separate.
Sure.
Yeah.
But people, where it just might be on FetLife, it might be more...
Oh, those people blow it up all day. Yeah.
Well, so some of them are married.
Right.
They've been slaves their whole life. Their wife has no idea.
Right.
So what kind of slaves are they? They're domestic slaves.
Mm-hmm.
They are also pain sluts, where they want pain. And then you have to keep the marks to a minimum because their wives can't see. And a lot of them are oral slaves. They are actually, going down on women that are not their wives because they want to please the woman. Who knows? Are they getting anything out of it? I don't know. But they're still servicing a woman completely. And yes, they have to keep their identity secret.
Okay.
And then other people, it's their job.
So
I know some politicians that are in this.
Right.
And they, of course, or, they know politicians or family members are politicians and they have to keep it secret.
Right. So there could be either job, marriage, would you say those would be the two main things?
Yeah.
So like
job and marriage.
General embarrassment is not
of their particular fetish.
Is not as much.
I would say no because the community is so accepting.
Yeah.
Right.
So if they were going to put it out there, they're putting it out there not to their friends and family. They're putting it out there in an environment where everybody has their thing,
Yeah.
They're putting it out in a fetish community.
And,
right.
No one's is worse than another's. They're just different.
Exactly. So then putting it out there,
right.
Everybody would be super accepting.
In the community, but outside of the community, though.
Putting it on FetLife, not on Facebook.
Sure. Right.
There you go. Right?
Exactly.
Right? It's funny, but it makes sense, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That analogy, though, yeah.
So
you post it on FetLife like this is because everybody on there,
right,
is part of the community and knows, and they're not judging. They're just accepting of.
Right.
I don't give a shit who does what. This is all part of the community, and I'll accept them for whatever their thing is.
So there is still an awareness, though, of keeping it in the community.
Yes.
That's
so
what
you
I'm kinda
post.
getting
So you
at.
post it on FetLife. You don't post it on Facebook. I'm sure.
Right.
I accidentally.
You do.
Well, I have done that, but I accidentally leaked some nude photos of me destroying somebody and bite marks. And then, like, I had to recover, and I'm like, somebody hacked into my account. Like, I'm so sorry, guys.
See, you have to fix
You
it.
have to cover. Right. And then people were messaging me and like, wow, like, what did you do to that guy? And I'm like, I'm a dominatrix. And they're like, oh, we figured that. But it was me posting, me like chains and the way that I dress. It's pretty obvious. And my demeanor. Like, what else is she going to be?
So, but what is your motivation to cover, since you don't really need to worry about the job or a husband or et cetera?
So what did I need to cover? I needed to cover it from extended family.
Okay.
Because I didn't want them thinking that of me.
You just rather...
And my immediate family, they know what I do.
Sure.
But my extended family are Southern. They do not know what I do. And I would like to keep it that way because they're in a different life. Like, they're not going to understand this. And I also have a lot of my clients from my professional life outside of BDSM.
From the hair salon.
Thank you. From my hair salon, yes. Who, a lot of them do know what I do. And they enjoy the stories.
But they don't want their wife to be jumping on and
that's the other thing.
There you
and
go.
I do have husbands and wives and teenagers and everything on my Facebook, so I have to limit it.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. So, how does this lifestyle affect your personal life?
pretty much in the way we just talked about, actually.
Okay.
I have to...
Personal life with romantic others, like significant others.
I have to either pretend I don't do it anymore,
Really?
because they know that I used to.
Okay, and they're just not going to be accepting of it.
So that isn't like a criteria then? You don't, when you're looking
you
for...
don't look for someone who's going to be accepting of it?
I absolutely do.
Right.
But if they're not,
You still are interested.
Yeah, I'm still going to do it. It's one like it's one of my sources of income.
Sure.
If you meet me and I have 3 sources of income, and then you try to cut one off, I just won't talk about it around you,
right?
Because I don't want to make you uncomfortable. But I'm going to continue doing it.
You're okay with them not being interested, though. That's not a criteria for a relationship,
right?
Okay.
Yeah,
but you would like a female-led relationship, correct?
With the right person.
Ah, back to me again.
There you go.
Okay.
That wasn't a ploy. I already know she's absolutely taken. I just gotta fuck with her a little bit. But yes, with the right person.
Okay.
I absolutely would. Yeah, in everyday life, everything's normal, and what I do on the side for work doesn't interfere.
Right.
And it's not a criteria that I need for somebody to be interested in.
And is that because you do it so much through work that you you have your place to get it out almost, where you don't need it to be?
A little bit, yeah.
So let's say you weren't doing it for work anymore. Would you need it in your personal life?
From the person that I was with, yeah.
Right.
A little bit though, not as much.
It doesn't have to be as extreme, but you still need a taste.
You could be with like a totally vanilla.
Yeah, I can't do that.
Yeah.
I can't be
do
like
vanilla?
I can't be like everything's normal and I'm just gonna have missionary sex with this person for the rest of my life. No, fuck no. Mm-mm.
I love missionary sex.
Right, but you also enjoy
crazy kinky.
There
shit.
you go.
Yes.
So I'm saying I couldn't just switch to that forever and be done. I couldn't do it. Mm-hmm. No, somebody would have to occasionally. They have to occasionally have an interest in something else.
Right. So you either have to do it through work, and then your personal life could be
Could
more
be normal.
vanilla.
Yep.
Or you have to.
Yeah,
have,
I actually was with somebody who was very unaccepting of this, and he looked at me as a sexual deviant.
Was that when I?
No,
That's
this
not
was
while I knew
years
you?
ago.
Okay.
This was years ago, yeah.
Because I was gonna say.
I was the sexual deviant.
Oh, there you go.
That doesn't work. You can't do it. You can't be with somebody that's viewing you like that and isn't wanting to participate or is begrudgingly participating.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. They're going along with it because they feel like they need to and they don't want any part of it.
Shit on you in the process.
Yeah, exactly.
They're
no,
not
fuck,
doing it. Yeah.
Fuck that. Nope.
So then, what about like poly relationships? Because a lot of people that are in this lifestyle are in poly relationships, triads, cuckolding. You know, there's all different types, but it's not usually just a regular monogamous relationship.
Right.
So how do you think that that all goes together?
I'm not in one, so I don't know. But I'm not opposed to it.
Have you been in one in the past?
Poly, yes. Cuckold, no.
Okay.
So, but it didn't end well. I don't think.
What didn't? The poly didn't?
Yeah. So I don't think she was completely comprehending what it entailed, and
you knew going in fully what it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, even though it was another girl, it wasn't like, you know.
But did they get to have other guys?
Yeah.
And you're fine with that?
Yeah.
Because usually it's the guy that puts the kibosh on it.
Right. No. We had my girlfriend and then the extra girl.
Yeah.
And both of them had guys back to the room.
Okay.
Both of them did. It wasn't one or the other. And
did they get possessive over you having other women?
eventually,
Yeah.
after a couple months.
But you were not possessive.
No. They had guys back all the time. Both of them.
Okay.
And then I had a couple girls back and they were ready to fight this girl.
So what do you think the difference is? How are you able to not
Girls are territorial.
but so are men.
Well,
It's proven, biologically that a man is scared if a woman gets impregnated, it's not going to be his offspring. That's why he wants to fend off other men. But he wants to be surrounded by women because he wants to spread his seed.
true.
That's nature.
I know.
So how did you overcome nature?
I never thought that way.
So just
I just straight up, I just flat out.
from day one, take
Yeah.
the knees.
I flat out when we were talking about it, and they wanted to be in a poly, or she wanted to be in a poly situation.
Mm-hmm.
It was discussed and agreed on that fucking day.
Okay.
So the next couple of months, it all played out that way. Until finally she started getting territorial and I was like, wait, you slept with like 5 guys. I had one girl back home. I had one girl come over like last weekend. Mm-hmm. And you're going to fight me over it?
And see, and it's usually the other way around because the woman is able to get so many men. The man's just like, what is this? She's got like fucking 10 guys.
That's when you pull a cuckold situation into play. But it didn't happen.
I had one or no girls.
Yeah, no. The girls have like, the girls, I mean, there's 2.
Yeah.
And they probably had 5 or 6 collectively over the...
Yeah, so the roles were switched.
Yeah. And I had one, and everything was fine. Days later, I was the asshole. I mean, it was bad.
So it just didn't work.
Like, they packed their shit and left.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, deuce. Like, I don't care.
Peace.
But it was bad, though. Like,
So that was your only experience with the poly relationship?
I've been friends with, obviously, I've been around the fetish community for half my life. So I've been friends with plenty of people that are in them and that work well. That was my only...
I haven't seen one that has still... Like, it worked well for a period of years, let's say 20 years, but the ship fell apart in the end.
Oh, no, I know a couple still right now.
That are going strong, and
yep,
I don't know any successful
run a
guys.
business together, and they have girls together, and that's just
Just girls
you.
then?
Yeah, but if I
See,
like
I don't
you,
think
you,
so.
you ever see Pulp Vixens? Pulp anything?
I don't know.
It's in Phoenix.
I don't know.
They had a house that we used to do fetish parties at. Right.
Okay.
It was a 10-bedroom house on like 2 acres. It was a mansion on Camelback Mountain.
Okay.
And they got done with that. They dialed it down and shit. But they run their own cam girl site, and they have 10 girls on the cam girl site, and a couple of them are their girlfriends.
Okay.
The couple's girlfriends,
Okay.
So, and they've been doing that for I guess not 20, but they've been doing it for like 10 years, and everything's good. So
I've just seen like where the women will not fully accept any. There might be like a poly relationship. The 2 women are bisexual, so they're with each other. They're with the male. Everything's fine, and then he brings in another girl, and then one of them's just like not having it.
girls
So
are
then
territorial.
Yeah, then there's an issue there.
Yeah.
And then the other one finds a guy, and then she's head over heels for him, and the other guy's okay with it, but they were the main couple, and now she has left him for someone else. So he lost his main wife. That's what I see.
I've seen that plenty of times.
Yeah, I don't know.
I got one couple that doesn't do that anymore, and that I'm friends with, and they're solid. But yeah, I see that a dozen times. I've seen it.
So what about besides fetish stuff? What about like orgies, threesomes, things like that? So like, what do you think about that stuff? Does that have to come into play? Do you think BDSM is just a very sexual thing and those things are going to come along with? Or do you find them to be separate? Because those other things are more accepted.
They can be dragged in,
Yeah.
but usually they're brought in separately.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
And
Do you find
the few times that it's happened successfully, it was brought in separately. It wasn't brought in through the community.
Okay, so 2 separate communities, basically. Somebody who's like, let's
The
say,
swing,
swapping,
the
swinging.
the swinger crowd.
Yeah, the swinger crowd, exactly.
They go to fetish events, but they have their
They
own
have
circle.
their own thing.
Yeah, they really do.
So
So
when
that-
it's
so
kept
that's separate.
separate, then it all kind of goes together. But you don't really see like a lot of crossovers. And then
And when you do, they don't last.
they don't. It doesn't work because it's just 2 separate communities.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I went to a swingers party. It was not for me. It's not for me. You learn that real quick. You're thinking, oh, it's, just something else to be accepted. And it was just like,
Not at
nope, not going upstairs with anybody.
You got 50-year-old fat dudes with.
There are very unattractive people in the swing community. I don't know why.
Yeah. It's just loaded with people that you're like, if you were single, I wouldn't look at you twice. Like, what the hell what are you doing here? That's
But they get play though.
well, only because they're in that community and they got their wife.
Just accept
They got their
it.
wife or girlfriend as their wingman. That's why they get.
Oh, and then she's just bringing the chicks in.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All day. That's all that is. The
I
guys.
did
The guys.
notice
The
that.
guys.
I was being
Right.
constantly hit on by the
By
wives.
the wives.
By the wives.
There you go. See.
Yeah.
It's like I know what I'm talking about.
You do, yeah. That's
So wait, do swingers trickle into the fetish
Yes.
community, or fetish people
Both.
trickle?
Both.
They both.
They kind. If this was like a Venn diagram, they kind of like
Yeah.
overlap each other.
Okay, sure.
but
But-
then they
but
pull
they
back
don't-
into their own.
Yeah, but then they go back to themselves. They don't stay connected.
Right.
They overlap for an event, and then they're back on their own. They don't. Yeah, you're not getting that person tomorrow to say the same shit they said tonight.
So besides filming, what types of events do you attend? Do you go to dungeons? Do you go to the teachings at some of these clubs?
Yeah, all of it.
You do everything?
Yeah. And I help build sites.
For the video clips?
All the clips and stuff. Yeah.
Yes, I know you were talking to me about that
Yeah.
for years.
Yeah, I was. I'm helping build new sites right now in Phoenix. So, Yeah, it's mostly for that, and then there's, events and other things that go on. There's events that go on that aren't just private for swingers, and there's events that go on that aren't just for shooting clips.
Mm-hmm.
There's events that we do that are like monthly. For example, a foot fetish group.
Mm-hmm.
So you got 10 girls that show up that all, they shoot pictures and videos, whatever else, like throughout the rest of the time. But they show up for this party. And guys pay $20 to show up.
Mm-hmm.
And then they pay $20 for 10-minute mini sessions. They can grab a girl that they like that they're drinking with. They could be like, let's go over here. And in one of the separate rooms.
Parties.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they pay $20 for like 10 minutes to go do a foot fetish thing in one of the rooms.
Mm-hmm.
I help put on a lot of those in Phoenix. So
They have that here too.
yeah.
The foot stuff. Or they're spanking, however many spanks for so much money and spanking parties.
See?
Yeah.
It's
they
real.
have that.
He was looking at me like I was borderline confusing, and then you jumped in. Yeah.
Well, because there's all different kinds of parties.
It's big market. Yeah, big market. So I help with a lot of those.
With the events.
Yeah. Doing my clips and then doing the events.
So overall, how do you feel about the BDSM community?
That's a pretty broad question. I don't know.
It is. We agree that they're very accepting.
Yeah.
Is there any negatives that you can think of?
I mean, not any more than there are with like anything else. There's hypocrites, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Just like in any other community. It's the same thing with church even. Like,
Sure.
you say, we're not judging people based on this, this, and this. We want no judgment. Come be open. And then you talk to somebody for 2 minutes and they want to write you off because they're judging you. So that kind of thing happens. But that's true with anything. Other than that, no issues. I don't have any. Yeah, no negativity.
I
really.
do have issues. There's people who are just too obsessed with their fetishes, and that becomes a problem.
I see that with the girls I work with all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to deal with it because guys aren't blowing me up, but yeah, I see that a lot though too.
It just
guys just blowing
much.
up the girls just like non-stop.
Especially coming across a dominant, attractive woman because they're not, there's just not that many out there.
Yeah.
But like a truly dominant, not somebody who's playing actress.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so, like supply demand, there's a high demand, and then it's just too much. Or you'll run into people who are like, it's okay to be different, but just completely out of their mind. It's just at another level where it's just like, okay, I need a break from the crazy.
It's true.
And then you get to that. I've taken so many breaks over the years because of that.
Yeah, I can see that all day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen to me as much.
I was wondering if it was just a female thing or.
It's happened to me a handful of times.
Yeah.
From gay guys. But
gay guys, really?
Yeah. Oh
That's
my god.
Hilarious.
Oh my god. They don't stop. Once they start, they don't stop.
Yeah,
they're nuts. They're like, I'm gonna change you. I'm like, no, you're not. And then they'll keep going for the next month, non-stop. I'm just like, oh my god, what are you doing? But yeah, it's only been a handful. She deals with a handful a day.
Yeah.
I deal with a handful in a month. That's the difference with that kind of factor.
Yeah, so it just becomes overwhelming after a while.
Yeah.
So what do you think some of the misconceptions of BDSM are?
That everybody doing fetish sessions is having sex? That's a huge misconception.
That's my number one.
Right? See?
Yeah.
It's like you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I say
you do fetish stuff or you're a dominatrix or what the fuck ever else like is the label? Okay, so you have sex for money. They automatically think you're a prostitute.
Absolutely.
All day, every day. Everybody thinks that.
Yep.
That's not the case. They're going to whoop your ass and make you want to have sex. But you ain't getting anywhere near it.
Yeah.
That's part of what they do. You know,
There's a tease in it.
Yeah.
A visual tease. And then, yeah, you go home and take care of yourself. That's not our job.
If you're lucky.
But,
If you're not locked up.
If you're not in a cage. That's right. You got it.
True story. He's laughing. He doesn't know.
No, he doesn't know.
You go home with your dick in a cage. And she got the key. You don't know what to do. You can't handle yourself. You can't handle.
Nope.
You gotta wait.
That's the best.
Yeah, I didn't bring that on this trip because I was smart.
Because you're gonna see me.
Yeah.
Because I'll keep the key till next time.
Yeah, which won't be till fucking March.
Yeah, that's a long
yeah,
time.
yeah.
That's a long
No,
time.
he's laughing. He doesn't know. It's real. She would keep the key until March.
I would.
Shit would be locked up with a padlock until I come back in March and visit.
So he can still pee.
Right.
Can't do anything else.
And he can't masturbate.
So
He can't have sex.
That's a real thing.
do most guys then like they own their own chastity device?
Not usually.
No, they-
Usually the girls do, and then they
Okay.
keep the key. They'll lock it up and they'll keep
But
the key.
he's asking, where does the cage come from?
Because you said you didn't bring it with you. So
Like,
Oh,
you
yeah.
have your own.
Like you have your
So
own.
I have one that I've used for shoots,
Okay.
for all
But
kinds
a
of
lot
shoots.
the guys have their own because they have one that some like metal,
Right.
some like plastic.
Right. And then they give
I've
you
used
the
it-
key.
Then there's a
Yep.
key holder.
I've used it for shoots 100 times. I made the mistake of having it with me because I was shooting in Chicago on the same trip I was staying her. And I almost left without having the key. I almost left with it on without having the key to go back home.
And I will not mail the key.
She was nice enough to let me have it back, but I don't think that's a regular thing. I think if I brought it again, I would be SOL.
Yeah. Why be afraid of mailing the key? What if it got lost? What do you do then?
I don't know.
She doesn't give a shit. She laughs. That's my problem to deal with, not hers.
Have there been like doctors who have to like medically remove
Yes. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
chastity
Yeah.
devices?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
You know some stories
Yes.
personally?
Yes. Yes. Oh man.
So you had a question in relation to MMA and pain, like pain tolerance. And
Well, yeah. So I mean, I was curious since you obviously go through pain for shoots or for sessions that you want to do, and then obviously there's also when you're fighting,
Different.
It's different, but you're still enduring pain. So is there any like crossover? Does any of it prepare you for the other, or is it strictly completely different
Separate.
worlds,
Different
totally
world.
separated?
Different world. Yeah. None of it has any relation.
Any relation?
Well, what about conditioning for a session?
Different conditioning too.
Okay.
Like she's had to condition me before I went and did a shoot.
Yeah.
And whooped my ass because I had to do a pretty intense shoot 2 days later or something like that. But
And a match.
oh yeah, that too. That too. I had to go fight too. But it's not usually the same.
right.
It's very, very different. It's
And even in
But
your mind,
do you think
it's
it-
different?
Right, do you think
it's very different.
So you don't think you get any advantage in terms of being able to take additional punches or anything because
So-
you're used to pain?
Yeah, so once in a while we get like an inside leg kick, like in the
Yeah.
thigh or something like that. When most people would drop, I mean, like I'll just blink and laugh and like go about my business. Like
Right.
I get a different tolerance as far as like pushing forward
Sure.
through what I'm doing. But at the end of the day, there's no preparing for it. Like it's the same. You can prepare yourself for a shoot for days and then go fight and you're just as screwed as you were 3 days ago kind of thing. Like
Sure.
there's no preparing for that. So, yeah.
Anything else?
I don't know.
I'm good too. What about you?
I'm good.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Carson, for joining us. Appreciate it. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for listening to Bound to Talk. Look for us on YouTube, iTunes, or visit boundtotalk.com.